All right, so the business opportunity of freelance brand scaling seems to be the talk of the town and the talk of 2025. Let's compare and contrast it to something that I do, which is the business of buying and reselling diabetic medical commodities, also known as buying and reselling diabetic testing supplies. I respect any and all hustles, any and all business models, any way that you can provide value to the world and create an income for yourself. But let's compare and contrast because, this is basically just a fancy word for starting a digital marketing agency. So we're going to talk about the medical commodities business. This is a business, and I actually spelt it wrong here, but this is a business that I've been doing since 2015, where you're basically buying and reselling over-the-counter products, over-the-counter diabetic testing supplies from the 40 plus million diabetics nationwide. They all get a surplus of supplies that they don't need and won't use, and they're either going to throw them out or let them expire, and we buy them and then resell them back to big name wholesalers slash pharmacies slash private buyers. So let's first off talk about freelance brand scaling. Maybe you watched a few videos about it, maybe you've seen a few people on YouTube talking about it, and you're thinking about, maybe I should do this, maybe I should do something else, maybe I should start maybe a medical commodities business, or maybe you should take an entirely different route with it. Let's talk about it. So the first thing is, it's remote and flexible, right? So whether you're, in the United States, whether you're on the East Coast, the West Coast, maybe you take a summer vacation to Europe, or maybe you even dip over to Asia and explore Asia for a while, you could still run this business. It doesn't matter where you're at. You don't have to, as they say, shake hands and kiss babies. You don't have to meet anybody. Now, from time to time, if you start getting your clients a bunch of results, maybe they want to meet you, but it's not going to be effective on whether you can close deals or not. As long as you can provide results, you can run this business literally anywhere in the world on any time zone, and that's super awesome. Where you're not location dependent, you're location independent. The next thing is low startup costs. So as long as you have a computer, you pretty much have all the tools required to actually start a freelance brand scaling business. Now, I have heard of different things where sometimes in order to get results, you might have to put up the ad spend, but I know typically you try to convince the business owner or whoever you're running ads for, or creating traffic for, that they're going to be responsible for the ad spend. But basically there is a low startup cost. Once you have your computer and you have a place to run your digital marketing agency, because that's basically what it is, the startup cost is pretty low. Another pro that could be good about freelance brand scaling or starting a digital marketing agency is recurring revenue. Even if you get, 5 clients a month at $1,000 per month, and that could maybe be low as far as what people are charging monthly, but that's still a $5,000 a month recurring revenue. But you have to continuously deliver results. If the client thinks that one, you're not getting the results, or you're not providing enough value based on what you're charging, you could potentially lose that recurring revenue. And once you kind of get a taste of recurrent revenue, you really value it to be there monthly, right? So if you're making consistently $5,000 a month and 2 clients fall off, that's something you'll feel. The next thing is, it's definitely a high income skill set. Knowing how to run ads, knowing how to set up a business with the inner workings of the internet is something that in today's day and age is super valuable, especially people who can deliver results. Because I myself, having some of my income come from the internet, is a lot of people on the internet are just, cap. They say they could do one thing and they simply can't. So if you're able to actually deliver on what you say, that's something that is taken very seriously. And then there's high profit margins, especially until you have a team, until you're paying people out. If you got 5 clients at $1,000 a month, pretty much all that money's going in your pocket. You don't have to endure any costs like softwares or anything, because that's going to be all the client's responsibility. But now let's talk about the cons, right? So some of the cons could be client churn. If you're not getting results, if the clients don't feel like you're bringing the value that they want or need, they could drop off. And like I said, when you're making $5,000 a month and 2 clients or 3 clients drop off, that's going to put you out there to having to go get more clients. Another thing is platform dependency. So when I think about this, business of freelance brand scaling or starting a marketing agency, I'm banned from Facebook ads. I can never use Facebook ads ever again. It's not, oh, go make a new business manager. No, I can literally not use Facebook ads ever again. I have to, use somebody else's account to be able to run ads when I do run ads. So I'm literally banned from running ads. So, for me, going out there finding businesses and running Facebook ads for them wouldn't really be exactly doable because I cannot have a Facebook ad account, which to me is a bit scary to me because you're not in full control. In business, you might never have 100% control, but you have to ask yourself, how can I have as much control as possible? The next thing is you're going to probably be working for free in the beginning until you can really prove yourself and show case studies of like, hey, I really know what I'm doing. And what if you've never ran Facebook ads before? How can you prove yourself without having to dish out a bunch of work for free? The next thing is maybe a con, maybe not, is you're gonna have to learn sales. Now, this is not necessarily a bad thing because learning sales can be an absolute blessing because once you learn how to sell, you could take that skill set of learning how to sell and take it to pretty much anything and always make money. But if you're green in business, not knowing how to sell can be super frightening and super challenging. The next thing is high competition worldwide, right? There are people doing the agency business literally worldwide, not just nationwide, but worldwide. And sometimes people are, really competing at super low prices. There's people out there willing to do the same work you're willing to do for $1,500 a month, and they're willing to do it for $100 per month. So the competition is worldwide and it's high. And then also, if you're not techie, if you don't know your way around a computer or an ad manager dashboard or Google or just knowing your way around a computer, if you're a boomer, might not really be the best business for you because you need to have some level of computer know around, or you need to know your way around a computer. If you're completely green to a computer but kind of advanced in business, I think it's going to be a struggle. So let's talk about the medical commodities business. This is something that I've been doing since 2015. I've literally helped hundreds and hundreds of people start a medical commodities business. And whether you watch my videos and take my advice on this, it doesn't matter. I'm just sharing with you guys, what I believe about this freelance brand scaling business. So let's talk about the cons. The cons are, in the beginning when you first start this business, you have to be boots on the ground. Can you start this business and travel? Yes, you definitely can. I do. In fact, most of the year, at least 6 months out the year, I live overseas and travel all over South America. But in the beginning, especially the first handful of years, I lived in the USA 100% boots on the ground. In fact, when I first started this business, I didn't even have my passport, but that's another topic for another conversation. But in the beginning, you need to be boots on the ground. Another con, but doesn't happen too often. In fact, almost never happens, but it can definitely be an issue, is shipping costs, delays, and lost packages. Now, as far as shipping costs, if you're sending out, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 invoices, you shouldn't really worry about a package that costs you 15 or 20 or 30, 40 bucks a ship. It's just a part of the game. As far as delays, it does happen, but it's not too often. And as far as lost packages, it's happened to me one time in the past decade of doing this business, but it was a loss. Like I had a couple $1,000s in that package of product, and USPS lost it. So what can I do about it? Nothing. It's just a part of the game. But it happened one time in 10 years, but it's definitely a con when it comes to this business. The next thing is it requires hustle, right? This isn't something that you can really just sit behind your computer and do. Now, yes, you can do it. Like I'm crushing it with different online advertising methods that I'm having a bunch of people mail in product. I pay on delivery. But typically, you got to kind of be out there, boots on the ground, and doing offline guerrilla marketing as well. So something like, freelance brand scaling could be better if you just want to sit behind your computer and never go outside. This kind of is USA only, where, you're not going to see people in, other parts of the world running a medical commodities business. Can they? Yes, but they need some sort of boots on the ground in the States. The way that I'm able to travel worldwide and go to South America when it gets cold and go to Mexico and go to Colombia and go to Brazil is because I have a team that runs my business in the States. And then also inventory risk. So people might ask, well, do the prices change? Do the prices go up and down? Yes, but very minimally. The prices might go up $1 here or there and go down $1 here or there, but they haven't changed much in the past 10 years I've been doing this business. But if you bought some product for one price and you thought it was going to sell for another price, you could lose a few dollars. You're not going to be stuck with the product. They're never going to say, the buyers are never going to say, hey, you can't offload the product because these products are just getting recycled on the shelf. But maybe you might lose $1 or $2 on what you originally thought you would sell it for. Now let's talk about the pros of the medical commodities business, right? 40 plus million clients, right? They did a study back in 2021 The CDC actually did a study where they said there were 40 plus million diabetics, actually 38 million, I think, but that was in 2021. Now you have to account for all the people that don't know they have diabetes or maybe even pre-diabetic. That number could very well be 50, 60 million people with diabetes, and they all get these supplies that I'm talking about. The next thing is they're only about like 1,500, 2,000, 3,000 sellers, people like myself, resellers nationwide. Unlike, starting a digital marketing agency where there's millions of people doing that business. The next thing is it's simple, right? There's not a lot of things to know. You don't have to learn sales. You don't really need to know anything. It's also fast cash, so you can, buy diabetic medical commodities or diabetic products today and sell them today and get paid today. Repeat customers, so there's almost no churn. In fact, I have some clients I've been buying their extra diabetic products for the past 5 to 10 years, and there's almost never any churn. So you don't have to worry about like, hey, do I have to deliver results? We're not delivering any results. We're paying people cash for their extra diabetic testing supplies. There's almost no skills required, so you can throw out the idea that you need to learn how to do ads or any of that stuff. Simply not necessary or required. It's a quick startup. So as long as you can get your name out there and tell people you're paying cash, I tell people to think about like a lemonade stand. How do you get your name out about a lemonade stand or a yard sale? Same thing. So no tech skills required and about 50% profit. The profit on the freelance brand scaling or a marketing agency might be a bit higher, but at the same time, you have to deliver results or those clients are going to go away. With this, I'm just giving cash to my clients every single month or however often they get the supplies. It could be weekly, it could be monthly, it could be bi-weekly, it could be bi-monthly, but I'm not, they're not dependent on any results. They're just dependent on me giving them cash for their extra diabetic testing supplies. So there you guys go. Medical commodities versus freelance brand scaling. If you guys want to learn how to do the medical commodities business, check the link down in the description or check the instructions. I might have you text my personal number or attend a free live training that I'm going to be doing breaking down this business. Again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.